Welcome to the Successful Relationship Coach podcast, where it's all about becoming wildly successful without having to work 24/7. This is about learning to do less, not more. I'm your host, Master Coach Kathy Murray.
Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Coach Kathy, and it is my privilege to be with you here each week, sharing about my experience being a wildly successful relationship coach for the past 20 years. And I help coaches to become wildly successful themselves. And I love bringing my real life experience here to the podcast. I find that if I bring the very thing I'm working on or dealing with here in this episode that I'm walking through, it's the most vulnerable thing I can do. And I figure if I'm learning about it, perhaps it would be valuable for you. And maybe you can relate or resonate with some of what I share here on the podcast as you become a wildly successful relationship coach. It's not a linear experience in my journey. In fact, it's been up and it's been down, it's gone sideways, and I've found my way back and back and back. And I've shared some of the processes that I've used to help me deal with the circumstances that present themselves kind of surprisingly. And here's a topic today that I am bringing that is that very situation. Earlier in the podcast, I talked about being afraid of putting myself out there and talking about being in the arena with other like-minded women, coaches, mentors who are standing for your greatness and standing for your own greatness. And then the fear of those people up in the stands, perhaps throwing stones at you and what that can do. And I've experienced that this week, and it's not the first time. And I wanted to just share with you the process that I've been walking through with my own coach in the last couple of days and what I've been doing to really look at how do I overcome the initial feeling of hurt or the desire or the immediate feeling of wanting to be defensive when someone has criticized or thrown that stone. So I want to talk about the difference between being accountable and not taking on the responsibility of someone else's stuff. I know as an empath, I can feel everything and I can feel other people's energies. I can feel my previous self and the familiarity of how I used to be sometimes in my clients or the women that I get to work with. And when I have stones thrown, I also, it kind of like is a scab. It's picking at a scab, a previous self of mine that has been completely transformed. And while I'm not perfect, and I still have lots of areas of growth in my future, I love being accountable. I love looking at when there's an accusation made, when someone has thrown a stone or criticized or complained or dealt me with kind of a lot of you this and you that and you did this and then you did that and therefore you're wrong kind of content, kind of messaging. I first look at where can I be accountable? Is this true? And because I feel things so deeply, the first place I go is, like I said, being defensive or perhaps feeling hurt or wanting to defend. And that's not at all who I want to be. It's not how I want to leave people. And so I look to see, and sometimes I have to pause, I have to sleep on it. I have to journal, I have to write a response and get all my feelings out. I have to really investigate and look, where can I own this? Where can I take responsibility? Because for me, taking responsibility is the most empowering thing I can do. I can clean up my side of the street, apologize, and move forward so that we can both be tending to the works that we're meant to do in the world, which is to make a difference. So this just happened to me yesterday. I got one of these kind of emails, and this was on the heels of maybe 8 other overly generous, acknowledging, positive, gushing emails where I know in the world that I am making a difference and that I am accountable for how I leave people. So when I get this out of left field, completely inconsistent with my experience, I stop to think, whoa, what happened there? Where can I be accountable? And I'll tell you, after investigating this with my coach and sleeping on it and doing the journaling, it's really not my stuff. And taking it on and apologizing for something that isn't mine would just be a disservice to my client. That is her stuff, and it's really in my best interest and hers to turn that back towards her so she can take responsibility for her stuff. And it's hard because I want to make it feel better. It's awkward and uncomfortable when somebody's hurt or mad or wanting to put their stuff on me. It can feel bad, and I want to fix it real quick. I want to make it go away. I want to get back to feeling good. So it's why I brought it to coaching and got my own coaching around this and really looked at it with my coach about what could I take responsibility for. That's what I brought. What can I take responsibility for? And there wasn't anything. And I just came to this realization, like, what a gift to give back my client. Like, I hear you. I get how disappointed you are. I hear you. I have felt this way myself in the past. And I suffered a lot when I held on to the resentments or I complained about someone else and how they disappointed me. And so I bring my empathy, my compassion, and then I stand for her by reflecting back to her what I'm hearing she's saying. And I also find the desire inside of what she's sharing about the criticisms that she really is wanting to be her best self. And this is an area of opportunity for her. Again, I don't want to take on responsibility that isn't mine or be accountable for something that isn't mine. And I just wonder if you've had this experience in coaching clients or becoming a coach where all of a sudden you're feeling like, wait a minute, that's not my experience. And perhaps you too have felt like your clients or others in your life are bringing their stuff, if you will, and placing it on you inappropriately. And at first, maybe you're thinking, I'm hurt, they're wrong. And maybe you, like me, are trying to find where you can be accountable. And you can't find anything. So what do? My recommendation, and this is what I'm doing, I got coaching around it. I really explored how can I be accountable? And I looked and decided, you know what? I can't. There's nothing here for me to be accountable for. And the best thing that I can do is reflect back to her what I'm hearing her say with compassion, without judgment, and to stand for her greatness and to relate to when I used to feel this way too. And I just love that I can be a role model for my clients and really protect myself from taking on something that isn't mine to own. It feels self-honoring and it feels very transformed because in the bad old days, I would take on a lot of stuff that wasn't mine and I would suffer and I would feel bad about myself and I would hide out. And today was one of those days I wanted to quit this podcast because that stone hurt. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to do this. This is just too scary. But here I am. I'm sharing vulnerably with you that I don't have anything to own in this instance. And I am going to continue to be in the arena and stand for the greatness of my clients, but also honor myself and what I'm called to do and overcome my fear and my hurt, my initial defense or hurt, and really own who I am and the gift I'm bringing to the world. And I'm not afraid one bit to take responsibility when there is responsibility to be taken. So how can you benefit from practicing this when you feel hurt or criticized? How can you look at where you can be responsible and then protecting your energy, protecting your mindset, and really standing for the greatness of your clients? I can't wait to hear. I do appreciate all the ways that you're sharing about how much you're enjoying this podcast, and you are giving me so much courage to keep going, and I thank you for that. All right, until next time, take really, really, really good care of you. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Relationship Coach podcast, where unscripted heart and wisdom are shared each week. Go to successfulrelationshipcoach.com and get your free Successful Relationship Coach roadmap today.